Montmartre. From the 1860s through the end of the century, this was the center of the French avant-garde. Here was the studio of Basile, one of the original members of the Impressionist group. The son of a rich wine merchant, he alone could afford a spacious studio, which he painted in 1869, and as such appears in this game. On the Place Pigalle, in the heart of Montmartre, once stood the Café Nouvelle Athènes. By the 1870s, it had become the principal salon of the Impressionists. This is where Degas painted Absinthe, and Manet painted The Plum. The café no longer exists, but further down the road there is still the Moulin Rouge, haunted by Toulouse-Lautrec in the 1880s. The studio of Van Gogh was located on 54 Rue Lepic. The building still exists today. In those days, Montmartre was still very much part of the countryside, with fields, gardens, and orchards, and topped by a bevy of whirlwinds. One remains. The famous Moulin de la Galette was a dance hall, and perhaps the most popular dance spot of all. The working-class girls would come in their Sunday best to take a swirl with their beaux. Their flustered faces and bright summer dresses were captured by Renoir, whose house and garden bordered on the property of the Galette. Manet, Renoir, Monet, Basile, and the others, for a brief moment in time, in their little quarter on a hill, they were the center of the world of art. Few inventions would have as profound an influence on Impressionism as the photographic camera. Photography had been around for a long time, of course. In France, it was Louis Daguerre who had introduced a metal plate process known as daguerreotypes in the 1840s. But this process, and the glass process used by Nadar and Auger, was still very cumbersome and required professional skills. But the introduction of the easy snapshot camera in the 1880s would change all that. Degas was the son of a banker whose artistic ambitions were far from the circle of bohemians of Montmartre. His early paintings were highly academic, virtuoso pieces of draftsmanship, inspired by his many travels. What finally brought him in contact with the Impressionists was a shared passion for contemporary subjects. This Pretty Dancer is one of a series done on the stage and in the studios of the Opera in the late 1870s. The publication in 1887 of the photographs of Muybridge observing the exact movements of a horse had a major impact on Degas. From here on, he would often travel to the racetrack and paint horses the way the camera had taught him. Very well done. You've opened the Degas Gallery. Click on the stamp if you want to see it, or you can continue and explore more sites. Of all the Impressionist painters, Frédéric Bazille was unique. He came from a wealthy family in Hérault, near Montpellier, where his father owned a number of vineyards. He painted his relatives on their estate in 1868. His father wanted him to be a doctor, but Bazille soon devoted his time exclusively to art. Bazille often went painting in the outdoors together with his pal, Claude Monet. It is here in the parks and woods of Chailly that Bazille posed for Monet's own version of a luncheon on the lawn. With the money that his father lent him, Bazille could afford the unprecedented luxury of his own studio. Of course, he opened it to all his friends. This is a reconstruction of the studio which Bazille occupied in 1870 on the Rue des Condamines, a favorite hangout for many starving artists, as we'll find out, particularly Monet.
I had to stop writing this letter because two painters, friends of mine, have just arrived to see my new painting. So I've amused myself by painting the interior of my own studio with my friends. They're making me lavish compliments at this very moment. Manet painted the figure of myself in it.
That's too bad. I thought we were going to play some music. The quest for snapshots of everyday life, light, atmosphere, reflection, simply nature the way we saw it, was not limited to painters alone. Such realism was also felt in the music of several contemporary composers like Claude Debussy, Maurice Ravel, and Erik Satie. In Montmartre, music and art were closely intertwined. Degas was fond of painting musicians at the opera. Manet's Dutch-born wife, Suzanne, was a concert pianist and a close friend of Emmanuel Chabrier. Bazille's piano was often played by a composer and critic, Edmond Maître. Perhaps Maître once played the Gymnopédie, composed by Erik Satie.